da null neidisch auf irgendwas, verstehst du? Wenn es von anderer Seite so ist, dann musst du dich damit auseinandersetzen, wenn die auf dich neidisch sind jetzt irgendwie, was ja durchklang, weil hat schon wieder der irgendwie Erlkönig, irgendwie also, das war das, was Lothar gesagt hat.
Erlkönig.
Erlkönig.
Im Volksmund Erlkönig.
Das ist ja doch tief auch irgendwie, dass bei Renate dieses, dass du halt ging das zu ihr und Lothar und mir dich halt nicht so voll eingesetzt hast, das Jahr lang. Ja. Das kam halt bei ihr als Brustfolge. Jetzt wird es nicht so konzentrierter Form so einmal sagen.
Auf der Zunge, muss
das sollte man, das sollte man halt einmal facen, Leo. Und das ist halt nun mal der Status quo der Dinge momentan. Dass ich das in einem Monat schon ganz anders ausschauen kann.
Ich glaube,
das auch klar,
der Einzige bisher bist, der nicht daran glaubt,
genau.
dass er Amon Düül durchzieht.
Das
derjenige ist, der das durchzieht.
Richtig, das glaubst du nicht.
Ich glaube es, er glaubt es von sich, Renate glaubt es von sich und Lothar glaubt es von sich. Dass wir alle diejenigen sind, individuell, die das Ding wirklich durchziehen.
Genau.
Underground rock and roll band, and in every kind of, they were very politic. It means they had their own ideas about the future and what's going to be happened. Like all the people were in this times was from this generation, what you say like the hippie generation, you know, like the 60 people from the 68 in this times.
But in society, the group Amon Düül had a political value.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so was the
so strong.
Der erhöht seine Bonität unermesslich. Ja, wenn du diesen Bonitätsfaktor völlig hertragen kannst. Aber ich meine, wir müssen halt noch leben irgendwie, ne?
Ja,
du hast doch Zinsen von den Zinsen deines Erbes. Also denk doch nicht darüber nach, ob du dein Telefon oder deinen Strom bezahlst. Er muss ernsthaft über sowas nachdenken, du aber nicht. Also, noch besser. Also, hast du dir das schon erspart? Der hat einen größeren Stress.
Leo ist vollkommen bedürfnislos geworden und deswegen weiß auch nicht, warum er mit Geld anfangen soll. Er sagt, jetzt bleibt alles wie es ist. Aber das schadet uns in dem Fall. Wenn du den Job nicht aufgibst und weiter einpennst und nicht da bist, dann schadet uns indirekt.
Das ist richtig.
Nicht, weil du geerbt hast, aber den Job weitermachst. Deswegen, das behindert uns ja.
A lot of lyrics was in the beginning the lyric master. He was in the same time the master of all the photographies and the artwork, and Chris Carrer and John Weitzel, they were very strong working on own material and material for the band. But when I started the band, they had their material already together. And it means nobody was in the GEMA, and then they asked me what we could do, how we going to do this. I said, okay, why you don't...
GEMA is the German collecting
agency. And the German collection agency, they didn't want to allow that 6 or 7 people signing for one composition and for one lyric part. And they said, this is not going to be happening. And then we said, okay, why we don't put the name Amon Düül too as a pseudonym for the whole group. And this was the first time. But then later they found out that if they put their creative music in the band, they wanted to be a part as a composer or a lyric writer, and then they did it by themselves. And I would say the biggest head from Amon Düül is, what I could say, Chris Carr. And in the time when they were very good together with John Weitzel, they had some new kind of possibilities, because John Weitzel was more like a straight player with a strong rhythm kind of thing, and Chris Carr was the kind of freak.
Wenn du den erstmal anrufst,
und sie bedrohen mich alle irgendwie. Und ich stehe da nicht drauf, irgendwie die Scheiße irgendwie.
Ich meine, mit ihm dann schon anschließen, aber er soll offen und ehrlich sein. genau der Moment, wo du jemanden am Telefon haben willst. Do you remember when they had light shows on stage?
Yeah, in this time they started to doing light shows in this kind of thing, that they had a special glass with some strange Flüssigkeit in, fuel, and they had all kind of strange machines and put these things on the wall. And sometimes it looks like, was a feeling like in the Grotte of Lourdes, or it was all kind of experience because no equipment was around. Then
Doch, gab's war schon irgendwie, also Erlebnis, wie hat man da vorgelegt? Doch, irgendwie schon, Mann. Du hast da 10 Jahre gespielt,
Particular Anglo-American group like Zappa or Velvet Underground, Hendrix or Pink Floyd maybe, that had a great effect on the music of Amon Düül?
I could not say anything about this because Amon Düül, they were touring a lot around and they met a lot of people, and for sure there will be some people who had a strong influence on their musical kind of opinion or whatever. You know.
Can you give us some good examples on the album Dance of the Lemmings? Can you say any episode about the production?
Oh, it have a lot to do with kind of mystical things where we're all the time around the band Amon Düül, you know, like strange accidents, like people died and nobody really could find out how they died. And then later we had a very bad experience in Cologne when they had, where between their playing, the whole equipment and the whole band started burning and 5 people died. And it means in the time when...
You mean Amon Düül played somewhere and the club burned?
When they were playing, it means everybody just came out of the club and nothing was happening, but 5 people died on the end of the whole thing. And it means when they did the record Dance of the Lemmings, I said all the time as grandfather kind of humor, said if you touch this kind of magical things, they may be gonna happen to you. And when they said, okay, we take the record Dance of the Lemmings, then it had a lot to do with the whole movement in the band. And at the same time, Cohnwinkel was starting dying.
The place where they lived.
Yeah, where they lived, and there was a lot of inside bullshit going on that many people said, if you keep going on like this, you like the Dance of the Lemmings, and you don't break your things happened, like this burning. Then we had to sign a new contract because all the equipment was gone. And we had...
You were signed to Liberty United Artists Records in those days, yes. And what happened? The relationship between the band and the record company was what?
The band and the record company was like a hating love affair, because on one side the record company heard and saw that the band have big reviews in the newspaper and everybody said this is the music of the future, it's going to be like Pink Floyd, or these are the German, and we got big prizes from the German Abendzeitung, and
movie prizes.
And we had like a golden film prize for doing a music for a film, and the film was exactly playing for 3 days and was never be a song.
But the award itself is like an American Grammy Award for music, right? So this is only because our friends in Japan may not know the details of some things that you are saying. When you say Cohnwinkel, not everybody knows that that was the place where the group lived, in one big house. But on Carnival in Babylon, right after Lemmings, the band had a rock band structure featuring Renate Knaup as a lead vocalist. Why is that?
When we did this record, there was a lot of fights in the band that, for example, new musicians wanted to take over, and it was a production what I sometimes thought it better should not be done, and was one of the records I never really thought that that's a great deal, you know.
You don't really like Carnival in Babylon?
No, this was Carnival in
Renate
Babylon.
hates it too. She says
Carnival is a record, we did it because we had to do it, and the record company said, come on, keep going. But on the end, nobody were really happy with it.
I have the impression that the band became more a normal rock band, more than this total art performance group. How do you feel about this?
When I did the band for 5 years, I could say that we all the time thought and had big fights with agency that we have all kind of possibilities like light and equipment to do our own thing, you know. But you could never say to Amon Düül that it's a show band. You know, it was never a band who said, okay, yesterday we came out with this and why we don't do this tomorrow. It's a band who's living much more from improvisation and good feelings, and if the good feelings are not there, then the concert is even bad.
You know, we are talking now about the time 1973, a time when you brought Lothar Meit into the band. Chris Carr, Renate, John, Peter, everybody said that Lothar came into the band because you were both buddies and you brought him in. But some members feel it was a very good change. How do you feel about the change?
The band was existing while I was doing some other things. I was playing, I had been playing and still was playing black music in the clubs which existed at that time in Munich, because we had like 35,000 American soldiers here, plus families. And they had, of course, clubs, and it was like almost in hall in some of them.
Here in Munich, in Germany?
In Munich, in Germany.
Aha. And these were American GIs that were stationed in Germany, like many of them were in Japan too, I guess.
Right. But like me as a person, I always was interested in many things around me. Best all of them, best all of the situations in life. So I was not playing only black music, I was playing freak music.
But always as a bass player?
Always as a bass player at that time. Freak music, which I called that so, in lack of another name, at that time at least, I played, let's say, with Christian Burkhardt.
From Embryo?
From Embryo, and was connected to that scene through jazz, which I started off with before I played rhythm and blues in the Harlem club. I started off as a upright bass player and played jazz in the jazz scene.
Yeah, because this brings us to the next question. At the time when you were joining Amon Düül, what sort of music were you interested in? That is really already answered by...
Right, in all of it. I played black music, like I said. I had been playing jazz with Gunther Hampe and people like that, with Elvin Jones, for example, one night from the Coltrane Quartet, yes, and things like that. And I was listening to Jimi Hendrix already and had met him with the had jammed with him actually, and he actually asked me if I play with his group, because like with the rhythm and blues group I was playing, like I said, we played in the Big Apple.
In Berlin?
In Munich. In Munich. We had a Big Apple here.
A discotheque or a club?
A club, right. And we played for the Drifters, for the so-called Drifters.
Benny King and the Drifters.
Yeah, but I experienced that it was not the real Drifters we've been playing for. It was the so-called Drifters, and the people who worked with us at the Big Apple as Drifters told me there's about 5 different Drifters all over the world playing the Drifters. It definitely was not Benny King I was playing with, but really good singers and really good deliverers of Drifters songs. So with my rhythm and blues group, I played for them. So as you know, as it is,
we was like out there for the night and said, we're not gonna pack up the equipment, we're gonna do it next day. So next day we came to pack up the equipment, and there was another guy coming in to put his equipment on the bandstand. Long-haired, green velvet suit, and had just bought a new guitar in the music equality shop over the street.
Big Apple, yeah.
And I said, who are you? He said, I'm Jimi Hendrix. And I didn't know it. I don't know it at that time. They were sending the English groups, when the English people saw this is a group that
came into the band because you were both buddies and you brought him in. But some members feel it was a very good change. And how do you feel about the change?
For sure, in these times there were many possibilities to get somebody else as a bass player for Amon Düül. But on the other side...
Who did Lothar replace?
Yeah, John Anderson.
Ah!
John Anderson played the first 2 records, and then he went back to England and didn't show up anymore, and then there was no bass player, you know. And then the group said, maybe we have this and this and this, and I said, why you don't use my old friend Lothar Maid? He is a fantastic bass player, he's a strong, organized person, and it's going to be good for the band. For sure, there were some people in the band that said this was a wrong step. But if you see the time now, if Lothar Maid wouldn't be in the band would have no record.
Today, 1995.
You know, because Lothar Maid is the important person on this record, because he had all the programs with his computer done before, and if he wouldn't have...
But the compositions are Chris Cara, for instance.
This have nothing to do. The composition could be get over to Lothar and he program it on his computer desk, and then it comes out. Because with now Lothar, I would not see any possibility that the band could make a record.
Bitte? Nein. Finde ich überhaupt nicht. Das kannst du ja später mal machen. Ja, kannst du später gerne was?
Okay.
Chris, ich bitte dich. Wie möchtest du? It's up to you. Kannst du machen.
Okay.
Was immer dir am liebsten ist. Hm? Du musst dich doch wohlfühlen.
Genau. Das ist irgendwie ein Künstler-Image, muss man irgendwie
Was? Yeah. Okay. I think this is very good. Yeah, like this. Du könntest es so alles eigentlich so lassen.
The world has just been wrong before. Now something's coming out of my mouth. I can't move myself anymore.
Oh, this is Nanas. This is an interview for the magazine Marquee in Tokyo, Japan. Today is August the 2nd. We're here in Munich, in Germany. My name is Gerhard Augustin, and this is Chris Cara, one of the founding members of the group Amon Düül from Germany, from the German underground from late 1968, 69. We will be talking about these days.
Hello, Mr. Matsumoto.
Yes, hello Chris, how are you today?
Nice to meet you. I feel very good.
You know a little Japanese?
I spent there, let's say about 2 months, so it's not enough to learn enough.
So Chris Cara has been in Japan for 2 months. In what year, please?
It was 1993.
In 1993. Did you like Japan?
I liked it very much, especially the countryside.
Well, maybe you go back.
Ja, ich brauche einen Aschenbecher.
Auch den
Das ist doch wunderbar.
bestellen, gut.
Verstehst du? It's all rock and roll.
Hello friends in Japan, here we are again. This is Renate Knaup-Krötenschwanz from Amon Düül, the singer, still crazy after all these years.
Hajime mashite Amon Düül no fan desu. Watashi no music wo kiite kudasai. Kono nai shimashou. Kono nai shimashou.
Mach's nochmal, weil ich dazu eine nähere Einstellung nehme.
Was, das letzten Satz?
Ja, das, was du eben gesagt hast. So, und hier in die Kamera schon. For the psychedelic underground times. There are not many facts known about this band, but please tell us when and how Amon Düül began to work.
Yeah, it's, I can say it in a few words. It's been founded in 1967 and it used to be a community of, let's say, 12 to 15 members, but the musician were only 4 people. It was Rainer Bauer from Vienna, singer, Peter Leopold drums, Ulrich Leopold different instruments and bass, and myself playing violin, saxophone, guitar.
You spent so much time in Australia. Everybody knows that your English is perfect, so I bet you are...
I kind of lost track of him because we went to different schools. And then we saw each other on the train station. I think I had these records that I just bought from America. When those times they were so expensive, you know, to get these records imported. You couldn't buy them in England.
Oh, you look like...
His cat's together, right? I mean, he's got Best of Muddy Waters and Rockin' at the Hops by Chuck Berry under his
Very
own.
much like it.
Wollen wir das nicht lieber ganz professionell?
Nice to see you, but where'd you get the records?
We started rehearsing together with some other friends. And
Ich kann sich nicht vorstellen, wie das die ganzen Nervendinge, ich musste mich herschleppen. Hab ich nur für dich gemacht.
Ja, das weiß ich auch zu schätzen, aber ich habe dir doch gesagt, dass ich das gerne machen würde. Und da ich das für Japan im Moment mache, diese Geschichte...
Bis wann mussten wir das haben?
So, ich bin da, aber heute Nacht bin ich da dran, mach das fertig.
Und wann müssen die das haben? Weil da ich würde wirklich mich einmal darauf vorbereiten und mit klarem Kopf kommen. Völlig mit Pillen zugestopft, mit Müdpillen.
Das ist doch nicht wahr.
Ja.
Ach, hör mal zu. Was man will, das bringt man auch im Leben. Und da spielen Pillen und sowas überhaupt keine Rolle.
Oh ja.
Ach, das ist Quatsch, was du jetzt sagst. Das nehme ich dir noch weniger ab als du dir selber.
Das ist wirklich so.
Prost, John.
Das ist wirklich so. Das ist völliger Wahnsinn.
Oh, die Katze hinter dir. Oh. Garfield, du sollst da runterkommen. Los! Garfield.
And the singer from Vienna, Rainer Bauer.
Rainer Bauer, the singer from Vienna. This was in 1967.
Im Vorfall, da hast du nämlich einen Nerv eingeklemmt und es ist hier das Bein lahm, Lähmungen, ich kann nicht mehr gehen, verstehst du? Ich schleppe das Bein hinterher. Du kannst keinen klaren Gedanken fangen. Du hast
violin, saxophone, guitar.
The original founding members are you, Chris Carra, Leopold,
right.
Uli and Peter Leopold,
right.
and
the singer from Vienna, Rainer Bauer.
Rainer Bauer, the singer from Vienna. This was in 1967. Where were you living at that time?
That time we met in Italy at a, let's say, at a little village where only artists lived. And
you remember the name?
I remember the name. It was near San Remo in Busana was the place called. And there we met the Vienna singer playing to the guitar some Bob Dylan songs and some own songs he composed. And we decided spontaneously to make a group like it's never been before.
Because did you have any other group in mind that you liked?
No, we just came from completely different points. Let's face it, like Peter Leopold and me, and Ulrich also came from jazz. We played jazz together with Christian Burkhardt. Rainer came from Bob Dylan, Beatles, this kind of stuff. And let's say the others in the band, they still had different ideas about music, and it was like a multicultural idea of making music.
Werde ich mal eben etwas fragen, weil der wochenlang mit sowas im Krankenhaus gelegen hat. Herbert.
Ich komme auch heute vom Arzt. Im Augenblick haben sie halt erstmal so diese Tabletten, diese Entspannungstabletten, wo alles entspannt. Voltaren, nee, das ist so eine Salbe. Da habe ich was Besseres, da habe ich Mittelsalbe. Besser für mich. Oh, nee, das ist so ganz heftige Dinger.
Ja, kenn ich auch. Ja. There was a discussion about the group name because we didn't want to have any German name because we didn't felt so national. Plus we didn't want to have an English name too, because then we thought people thought maybe we are like the Anglo-American band or so. So we decided to take two names from other cultures, like from the Egyptian cultures, the name Amon is coming from the
what does it mean?
God of sun.
The son of God.
God of the sun.
Oh, the God of the sun.
Amon, yes. And Düül was an old Turkish. I mean, this time it wasn't Turkey yet. Goddess for moon. A symbol for moon goddess, a female god for moon.
Aha, for the goddess of the moon.
Of the moon, right.
Aha. So, who came up with the name Amon Düül? Was it you and Peter, or did it all of a sudden happen, or?
I think there was. There were about 3, 4, 5 different names we discussed about.
And you all decided on this one?
We decided on this one.
Aha.
This was the thing, actually. Yes.
What was the band's musical aim? What kind of music were you planning to do?
Yeah, it was funny at the beginning. I mean, there are still some recordings we never issued, never released. In '67 we started to combine Rainer Bauer's acoustic song material with acoustic instruments like flute, like violin, like saxophone, like bongos. This was one section. Then we explored electronic and electric instruments and possibilities and facilities. So we had another kind of, it was actually 2 different kind of bands in midst of these 4 people, which played
alles rumgelaufen, bis halt jetzt so schlimm wurde, dass ich das machen musste. Naja, auf jeden Fall, herzlichen Dank für die Tipps. Mit Leidensgenossen. Alles klar. Okay, ich reiche mal wieder zurück.
Herbert, danke, dass du ihm da vielleicht so ein paar Sachen zu sagen konntest.
Ja, also ich bewundere ihn, er ist ja der wahnsinnig steife Röhrchen, so, der hält ja wirklich die Theke zusammen.
Ja, tut er auch. Aber
ich bin gar nicht John Weinzel, ich bin sein Double.
Er sieht aus wie Robert De Niro heute.
Rainer came from Bob Dylan, Beatles, this kind of stuff, and let's say the others in the band, they still had different ideas about music, and it was like a multicultural idea of making music and art at the same time.
When you got together, did you have a name for your group immediately, or?
No, there was a discussion about the group of the name, because we didn't want to have any German name, because we didn't feel so national.
Kader kann wenigstens reden.
Keine so gute Qualität, man hört es.
Jeder kann reden, Maid kann nicht reden. Dann die Spielchen, die sie da haben, weil wenn Maid wirklich spielt, darf der Bassist nicht Bass spielen. Das ist
So we had another kind of, it was actually two different kind of bands in the midst of these four people, which played other songs electrically. Plus, we had already then the idea to make tribal music, and there is still
tribal music, sort of improvised,
which means also participating of the wives and the children.
Everybody
was invited to take part in this jam session.
Were you already living together at that time when you started making music?
Yes, after this meeting in Italy, we decided to rent a house together and build up this community.
Where?
Actually, this was in the near of Munich, the countryside, and you know, it was a beginning in a way. It was too small for so many people, because at the end it was maybe 12, 15 people.
We were there at the roundhouse. Some concert
A music injection?
Yeah, a music
or
injection.
A scene injection?
Music and scene injection, because that scene that happened in London, you couldn't find at that days here in Germany. Nowhere.
There was nothing like that in Germany.
Nowhere.
Was it the days of rock and roll in England?
No, it was this
beat. It was the beat days. Actually.
It was the days when Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, and Soft Machine played in one concert in the Roundhouse. You know, and you could drive in the Roundhouse with motorbikes. It was a arena thing.
Were you sort of affected by the music of those groups, the Pink Floyd, Velvet Underground, Zappa, maybe?
Yeah.
What was your favorite music at that time?
We used to go at that time to a flat of a Swedish guy, and he got all the new records. And I remember three records were the most astonishing music. The first Pink Floyd, the first Velvet Underground, and Zappa's We Were Only In It For The Money. We Are Only In It For The Money. These three records I can remember were maybe not an influence, but it was a kick for us to hear that unusual music, because it was you can't compare it with Beatles music. It
had nothing to do with the Beatles or the Rolling Stones,
nothing.
The Who or the Kings, who were big in those days in England. So your music was oriented towards the underground in England.
Yeah.
Was that kind of
it was, at that time it was the underground. It became later it became one of the most important acts in worldwide. Pink Floyd and Mothers and the Velvet Underground.
You know, Amon Düül was it more a rock band or was it more a commune in those days?
In those days it was more a commune, because the music they were playing at that time. I wasn't playing in
singing my guts off and trying to be real good, and I just see that one by one, one head after the next head, all the 20 people visible through this glass window disappeared, just disappeared down the desk. In the end, there was only the engineer left, and even he vanished. I thought, why is he going? He's got to do the job. So I went in there. They're all on the floor like worms, giggling and laughing, because they only could hear my voice, and it must have been. I was very appalled, actually.
Embarrassed.
Appalled. Not embarrassed.
You're talking about Wolf City was a production we did between the Olympic Games. And it means there was a big disaster in Munich, 100,000 of people were running around, and the Wolf City production was done in different studios, you know, and starting in Bavaria, going to this studio and this studio. And this was the record I really thought we have made it. Because everybody
thinks so.
Thought when we played Wolf City, they said, okay, Olaf, congratulations. Now the band will have the hit what we needed to get, you know, because after a while, when the industry puts a lot of money in the band, they want to see a result out of it. You know, they say, when we hear the hit. And this was exactly the time when United Artists had new kind of directors coming into the company and new partners from the Börse or whatever, and
drive our people the best. So we thought, Mr. Conrad thought he should be the leader, but that's kind of, we didn't say that.
Hallo? Hallo, Peter? Das gibt's ja gar nicht. Wo bist du denn? Ja. Richtig. Richtig. Ich war nämlich in der Zwischenzeit auch in Köln, bin aber wieder zurück und weißt du, wer gerade bei mir sitzt? In netter Runde, kannst du dir das denken? Ja, John oder was? Ja, Moment mal. Ja.
Hi Leo, noch lebendig.
Hallo, hallo.
Alive and kicking.
Ja, ja.
Spielst du da mit bei der Neuhaufen?
Ja. bis dato schon auch, ja.
Ah, ausgezeichnet.
Ja.
Das ist ja irre.
Ja.
Ständiges Üben wahrscheinlich, oder?
Ja, es läuft jetzt an, ja.
Gut. Macht uns keine Schande.
Nee, ich versuche es nicht, also...
Peter,
ja?
sag mal, wann kommst du, kannst du denn nicht hierher kommen? Wenn du jetzt in Grünwald bist?
In Grünwald, bei mir zu Hause.
John wohnt ja auch in Grünwald. Ich bringe euch nachher dann nach
Ja, aber
Hause.
ich muss um 8 zum...
Bitte? Ach, er muss zur Rehabilitation. Ja, was?
Ja, ich meine, wir wollten eigentlich...
community in a way, or commune, which it was not allowed even to go on in you know, be a frontman and tell the people now, you know, I'm to entertain the people. So we became the image that because we didn't say even thank you to the people, to the audience when we played, that we are even more arrogant and even more, you know, like let's say spaced out. Nobody could really come into and you know, rumors went on and on that there are some secret things going on and some...
Ach so, ach du lieber Gott, den gleich mit umbringen. Nein, ich mache einen etwas ungewöhnlichen Scherz im falschen Moment. Nichtsdestotrotz, du weißt, Freunde sind besser als Verwandte, sage ich immer. Wann darf ich denn mit deinem Besuch mal rechnen?
Ja, mit 2 Tagen, weil wir können ja auch da
zum Kanzleirat. Das heißt, ja, wunderbar, macht das doch. Das heißt, wir Familie dann, nicht? Ja, macht das doch. Wunderbar. Yes.
Volkshof. Also violin, you know, like electric violin, they were not
thousands of cows rushing to bars. On a pole I see
sagen, wie der Kollege A, der Beste, mit dem ich je gearbeitet habe.
Richtig, ja?
So geht das doch.
Ja, das ist tatsächlich so.
Ja, nicht Jive, kein wehtun.
Nein,
das kann jeder selber rausfinden.
Richtig. Nein, aber ich finde, wir müssen das positiv angehen, das Ding. Ich habe doch jetzt nichts davon, wenn ich mit euch zusammensitze und da kommt Scheiße rüber. Ja. Da muss was Gutes rüberkommen. Ja, und das muss die Leute antören. Und wenn wir sehen, dass da Interesse ist, dass die da was machen wollen, dieses Ding würde ich gerne weiterreichen an Fernsehsender oder sonst wo, wenn es gut wird. Wenn ich es fertig habe, gebe ich dir ein Tape davon. Ja. Und dann, wenn du siehst, dass es irgendwas kritisch ist, aber nicht auf den Nutzung, sondern wir reden drüber. Ich möchte das für Japan heute Nacht fertig machen. Deshalb ist gut, wenn Leopold noch kommt. Vielleicht kann ich den zu dieser...
Auch noch rein.
Ja, weil ich ihn nur...
Leo,
ich habe das Leo nur... How was the situation or the condition in the band in those days? 1973, that was about Wolf City.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine that time, because I remember Wolf City, the film you were in, celebrated as the best album ever since been done. And also the band was very satisfied with this production. But, as I heard later on, it was the worst sold record.
Amon Düül no fan desu. Watashi no music wo kiite kudasai. Kono ai shimashou. Konai shimashou.
Hello Renate, how are you today?
I'm okay.
Oh.
I had quite a beautiful night last night.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
In which way?
In which way? We were sitting together, talking about the future, talking about the things in life and in music, and we had a very nice evening.
Oh, that's wonderful. When you say we, who was we?
We is our guitar player, Chris Carter, our friend Gerd Augustin, he's still a friend, and other friends who were part of the party.
Oh, party time.
Yeah.
Renate, were you one of the original Amon Düül members?
Yes.
Were you one of the original Amon Düül members?
Yes. Yes, I was.
Because there are not many facts known about this band. Please tell us when and how Amon Düül began to work.
Well, to tell you the truth, we were about 10 or 14 people who were thinking in the same stream of doing something for ourselves and for the rebellion and changed life and everything, and so we came together. I was living in London before and I joined the Friends. We were friends before, so we just came together.
Who is we?
Well, yeah, like Chris Falk, Peter Leopold, Ulrich Leopold, Rainer Bauer.
What about the sitar player, Agroma?
Agroma, he joined later. He was my lover.
He was not
in the band, no. He was my lover. I was with him in London, and he became really, how do you say, he worked on playing sitar, and he was in the Khan clan, you know, in this Indian Khan clan, and he's now called Agroma Khan, because he's one of the, well, he really learned it from the pig to how to play sitar. But coming back to Amon Düül, we all came together and said we make music, and we then had a huge flat. We all lived there together.
This was about 1968 or 67?
Yeah, 68.
68.
Yeah, 67.
67,
68.
And what sort of music were you interested in those days? You personally?
Me personally? Well, I was, at that time, there were fantastic groups already on the road, like Tanget and Spooky Tooth, and well, I especially liked the experimental groups, you know. They were really experimental, new music. People who made new music.
Did you have a favorite group?
Yeah, Spooky Tooth.
Spooky
Tooth was a favorite.
Waiting for the wind.
And Soft Machine, things like this.
Awesome.
And Pink Floyd, you know, that was already there, I think. No, it's not true.
No, but when you formed this band Amon Düül, at that time it was so-called Amon Düül 1 from today.
And in fact, the whole thing ended for a while when we sat together and said we are unable to live by ourselves.
How much were you a part of that?
In those days,
yes.
Everybody on the album sleeve was a part of it. We were all parts of it, but the pressure was different. It was not. Before that, we were living and we were doing what we wanted or what we thought is right. And all of a sudden, all these schemes, business schemes, and how to do it.
The boss you had worked 3 years with, he's going to be gone because they fired him or whatever. This was.
So you mean the record company did not get behind
They
that?
goofed, really, they goofed.
Was that also a reason for the breakup of you and the group later?
No, not at all. The really reason for the breakup was that the distance that I, after 5 years, said, listen, what you doing there? You know, you have a kind of father position. Everybody comes to you needing money, needing cars, needing whatever kind of help. And on the other side, the really possibility to help this out and get it together would be if the band would be very strong as musicians on the bandstand. This was a power play between the industry and the band. And I was, in these times, really sure that we didn't have the power to do this. You know, and after 5 years, United Artists was tired of it.
Side of the thing, you know. I mean, we recorded, but I think the live thing wasn't really observed, you know, by us at those times.
So, in other words, you want to go back on the road?
Yes.
And this new album, do you have a favorite track on there?
Yes. It's Germanistan.
Germanistan. Okay. Again, made in Germany. One last question. From a present point of view, sorry.
Can I say something about Germanistan?
Yes.
The original title was Mutlaidi.
Mutlaidi.
Yeah, and it was not Germanistan, it was Afghanistan. But the music,
das ist more clear.
Was this way says, Is that the part?
Das ist Richard Tauber.
Yeah.
Yeah, das ist Richard Tauber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, nice. So, it was really a different word used for it, right? Afghanistan, Germanistan, yeah.
But I like Another Moonshine too. I mean, there are some nice tracks on it. I mean.
Last question now. From your present point of view, how do you feel about the 60s and the 70s and about the so-called psychedelic revival which happens now?
I think you can forget the 80s, you know. You must really 60s, 70s, 90s, you know. The 80s is really a lost period, also in my mind, you know.
Yes, lost period, yes. Neue Deutsche Welle. War schon Vorreiter von Techno in gewisser Weise.
Yeah.
So, do you think there is a psychedelic revival now?
Yes.
Thank you for your help. I don't know if
This is something. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you connect fame and fortune with the idea of having an album?
Well, not in that vision, but I always know that we have something nobody else has.
There's nobody like Amon Düül, right?
Yeah.
Because there were other groups after you. You had an album out, there were other groups appearing in the market.
Yeah, but no one, because of the constellation of...
Let me say something else to Captain Tripp. Hello, I'm Peter Leopold. Wait a minute, was? For Captain Tripp, thank you for all your enthusiasm in Japan.
Yes, Captain Tripp, we love you.
Yes. Das ist der Typ, der in Japan das jetzt alles so ins Rollen bringt. Dieser Plattenfreund. Finde ich auch nett. Hm? Yeah, his name is Ken Matsutani. Do you remember any episodes, process, anything that you remember about the early days of making commercial music in terms of records? Is there any episode that you any episode making the process that you remember, anything that will be appreciated?
They appreciated everything we did. And to tell you the truth, in Germany, they didn't like us. We had to fight in Germany. Foreign countries.
Right. And he said to me, I didn't know who it was. And he started to try out his new bought guitar, a Fender Strat.
Stratocaster.
Right. And he played the blues, and I say, well, if you play blues, I play with you. And so we was jamming, and he listened, and he said, man, you're doing it. I mean, you want to play?
And they had to be recouped by the record company.
Right.
So.
And there was the other criminal thing that we never could check by United Artists in America how much records we
actually sold.
Wenn die Sonne der Kultur niedrig steht, werfen selbst Wege lange Schatten.
And it was a very big success. And it was in the newspapers, and the record company came with big cars and everything. But on the end, if you were by the accounting, and the price was £250 a night for a 6-piece band with equipment, this is no way to make a living, you know. It means on the end somebody had to put money on it. It means the record company, they told me, why you don't do a live record and we support you and you have some extra money to get the band out, even out of England.
So England was the first place Amon Düül played outside of Germany?
No, they played in the beginning.
In the stairway, and you hear the bells ring, and you hear knocking on the door that you could think the door's gonna break in, and you open the door at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the police came in with machine guns, and was looking around my rooms, and the day before, Christian Burkhardt from 5th floor was visiting me and had a Peking Rundschau with him.
What? A what?
A Peking Rundschau.
Peking
English. So they came in my house and said, political. Peking Rundschau in the living room. There it was, you know.
That showed they were in political activity.
My poor wife, which was a school teacher, and it was, I don't know if Japanese people know about Bavaria and the political situation in Bavaria still. I mean, for a school teacher to be discovered with a Peking Rundschau in his living room, it's very, very bad.
So she's almost a terrorist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Lothar, on the albums Tanz der Lemminge, Yeti, you were not involved. But
I'm alive too. It's a mystical person. English hiking. It was a two-roomed house and there were 20 people living in. And
English hiking here in Munich.
English hiking in Munich, yeah.
Hallo? Ja, bitte. Ja, Andi. Ja, okay. Ich bin ja gerade am Interview machen mit Falk Wogner von Amon Düül. Und du? Ja, könntest du mal sehen, ob ich das eigentlich einigermaßen noch gestern Abend aufgeräumt habe. Ich bin wirklich da rausgefallen, völlig erschöpft.
Also über Kopf.
Oder... Ach so, habe ich noch einigermaßen hingekriegt, nicht? Ja, ich dachte nämlich, ich wäre tot gestern. Du siehst, ich bin hier immer noch am Interview machen. Ja, bei dir alles okay?
And we played there, and it was maybe, I don't know, 500, 600, 700 people like this, you know, really boom. And therefore, this is the only time I wanted to have protection, you know, because a fan came up to me. A fan came up to me and said, I love you. And within the same time, I had a tongue kiss. You know what that is? It was within a second. Within a second.
Yeah. Was cutting the crop, or what do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this pink triangle is not a symbolic thing. Is it like the upcoming drug event? It's like an not an arrow but Spitze, the
point.
The point of an upcoming thing is that for the drugs,
in those days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe he wanted to try that.
He wanted to try it. Yes. And on the back side, very strange. Can you show this to our friends, please?
On the back side, it's one of the first photos of the first line-up.
Ganz bisschen so.
Yeah.
Just pull this up a little bit. Yes. A little lower. Just a little lower.
Kann man die mal leiser machen?
Okay. Ich wundere mich, warum dieses Objektiv so scharf ist.
Maybe a flying rock or something like that, flying rock, and coming up from somewhere and going to nowhere. It's like a flying planet. It's a planet of Yeti, and here you see the members of the group at that time, including the producer Olaf Kübler. This is Schrat, you know Schrat. Yeah, Schrat.
Schrat, who just died.
Yeah, who just died 4 weeks ago.
So he knows we're talking about it.
Leider.
Yes.
And this is
Yeti.
This is a Yeti, yeah. And behind this mask is my brother, who did the lettering. And this is Chris Cara. David Anderson, Chris Cara, ja, brauche ich nicht aufzählen, was ich gespielt habe. First photo session with Gerd Stein, you got...
Chris Cara.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. And these monumental horses, the horse, is there a special meaning for it on the bottom?
No, there are some things, in my artwork, I cannot explain. I can't explain. It's just there,
Because you always have a bombastic figure.
Yeah.
Some sort of bombastic thing is in there.
Yeah.
But very mellow, Can we go, thank you, we go to the next
There's also a horse, you know, with the flying horse.
Yes.
Flying horse
Again.
always fascinated me.
This is
flying
Dance of the
elephant,
Lemmings.
flying
Dance of the
elephant,
Lemmings.
you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. The top, please. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is Tanz der Lemminge.
This is Tanz der Lemminge. And maybe we can show the
American.
The American, yeah.
One is the German original release, and the other one is the release from America.
This is a release with a better, I think, lettering, you know, because at those days we didn't, we were not so good in lettering, and the American did a good job with this lettering.
This was released in America by United Artists Records, who started to realize the potential of the group.
Right on. So, and two horses, you know. Two horses in motion. Maybe they are flying up into the sky, like this guy, and like that guy, and like the hand. Yeah, it's some of this. Some people say
at the same time between the Olympic Olympiade, you know.
Olympic Games in Munich in '72.
Really. And in this time, Sigi Loch was already like splitted the company, and he
had left the company.
He left the company, and he said he were in America as a big boss, and he told everybody about the beautiful success about Amon Düül. But he said there is a big problem with the name. In America there is no Düül, no Düül, that's not it. It's not it. He said, and everybody had problems with the name, like Amon Düül or Amon Düül is not, it's forbidden, it's not in the physiognomy of the Americans, you know?
Yeah, maybe no dictionary.
And then Sigi Loch said, Olaf, why you don't change the name of the band to Olaf and his Electric Nazis? This was like a joke, you know? And I said, why I don't do it? You know, like make a record, a solo record, from me and Lothar Maid, because we both did Utopia, under this circumstances. And then you must understand, in these times in America, all the record people were Jewish people. You know, and then after the Olympic game, when the shooting was, this everybody could do, and even English bands took things from the Nazis and even thought about how heavy this is. You know? And then I really produced it.
So,
except that she did play tambourine.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Of course.
You know, it says, I have the impression that the band went to be a normal rock band rather than being this band of total art performance.
What does he mean with that? What band?
In other words, at the time of Carnival in Babylon, the group seemed to go into a normal rock band direction.
He's right.
And not so much.
Right. You are right. You are right. But this was the new producers involved.
At that time.
Yeah, Jürgen Podolec.
Not yet, no. Jürgen was not involved. That was Olaf Kübler still.
Yeah?
Carnival in Babylon. Yes.
So I'm wrong. I don't remember really. See?
But then.
But I mean.
There's some common feeling between the title tune of Father's Day.
To take part in this championship.
Were you already living together at that time when you started making music?
Yes, after this meeting in Italy, we decided to rent a house together and build up this community.
Where?
Actually, this was in the near of Munich, countryside, and you know, it was a beginning in a way. It was too small for so many people, because at the end it was maybe 12-15 people. This was one reason for the split, I can say now. Another reason was the left radical wing, political wing party, which influenced.
Die sind da dargestellt. Die kleine Arkana sind 56 Karten, wie das Kartenspiel, also wie unser normales Kartenspiel auch. 4 Farben, 4 Sätze. und 4 Hofkarten in jedem Satz. Tja, das wäre das Prinzipielle. Natürlich gibt es in jedem verschiedenen Kartenspiel, in jedem Tarot-Deck Abweichungen.
Was?
Ja, ja, wissen wir.
Renate ist auch gerade hier. Wir machen gerade.
Ach, morgen schon?
Morgen 13:45 Uhr. Zeigen Sie das oder müsst ihr da hin?
Nein, zeigen Sie. Das haben wir ja gemacht.
Well, this was a very depressive time. Actually, Olaf stopped the deal. Everybody knows why. And Kordelich.
You mean
took
you're
over the
recording
band.
here with United Artists?
Yeah. And Kordelich.
Jürgen Kordelich,
in,
yeah, we haven't really mentioned him before.
Yeah, he was the second producer, and he was actually a disco producer in those days, at that time. And well, that was the thing. He really wanted the band to play music, probably disco music, which didn't work at all. And also the creative facilities of Chris Carra or the rest of the band weren't used because Lothar might.
I left the group, Lothar left the group, Falk left the group. How can you do a band like Amon Düül with only one man or two men left? Two guitar players
of the original band.
Of the original band,
which
and
were
they
Weinzel and Carra.
Weinzel and Carra, and they took some kind of. You see, you cannot overcome all the time, and it was a flop, if you ask me.
In a commercial sense, when you say a flop, or in a musical sense?
In both.
In both.
In both.
Now, who was leading the band at the period when you had left the band, Pyragoni, till Vortex?
Chrissy.
Chris Carra.
Chrissy.
Aha. Do you feel anything about this period when you were not with the band?
Yeah, I feel only ugliness. I feel...
Were you missing to be in the band?
No, I was not missing because I did not ever want to play with these musicians being hired for being Amon Düül.
Right.
I would never want to play with her Evers und Zauner. I would never, because it's
they were
like,
not a part of the spirit, I guess.
Oh, not at all.
Mm-hmm. Do you see in the group, the name, the act Amon Düül, a philosophy?
Yeah.
What kind of philosophy?
Try. Which is a philosophy. I mean, this is a hard question. It is a hard question, you know.
No
because one people plays on 6 different drums. So we split it into 6 different people, and everybody takes one. One plays hi-hat, one plays snare, one plays bass drum, one plays tom. And you know, even the drummer, Peter Leopold, didn't agree after the recording session. He came back to us. So in the meantime we had another drummer, so that was the fact why we played with 2 drummers from then.
You mean Peter Leopold was one and Bauer was the other one? No.
Dieter Servas.
Dieter Servas.
Dieter Servas, right.
Well, when did he join the group? We were first talking about 1967, and we are talking about what now?
Yeah, right. I mean, there was maybe 1 year, everything was...
Das ist schon gut. Was ist das?
Die Abfallmeister.
Das ist der absolut gelungen. Ach so.
Kannst du das vorige spielen?
Kommt voll gut, die Kanne, die er da reingibt. Super.
Sie sprechen gerade mit Kübel TV. Wir machen hier die Amon Düül Produktion mit 11 Öl. Also Ölmüll, Ölmüll. Ölmüll in Ölmüll, nicht? Machen Sie bitte doch mal das Auge auf, damit ich Ihnen durchs Hinterhirn schauen kann. Herr Generalsekretär. Nicht, ich möchte einen Produzenten gewinnen, der ein Fernsehprogramm macht, morgens früh um 7, wo man nur verstörtes Zeug hört. Mein Mann sitzt zu Hause im Bett und strickt nur Pullover.
Cutting the face from her smile.
Ist aber doch schwarz-weiß, Mann.
Ich habe nämlich bei dem Amon Düül Prozess 2 Ü auf mich selber angemeldet. Und auch nicht mit meinen dummen Namen gedacht, dass ich Rötli Krü hat auch 3 Ü. Ne? Und da kam Amon Düül, war schon vorher da. Möterhöht.
The same. Just like yes, she was the one.
Hallo. Ja bitte. Ja bitte. Ach, Sie haben auch ja, da haben wir natürlich eins dagegen. Anti-Jokolin. Sie können dermaßen an Ihren Ton ist ja abgefahren. Danke, da ist mir gekommen. Das Fernsehprogramm wurde heute ausgeschaltet. Matte runter, aus. Ne?
Danke, Olaf.
Das auf You Got on Tape, die Demo.
Die letzte ist halt mehr so nur auf den Touren gemacht. Und da wenn gemischt wird, dann haben wir eine, die kann man immer so reinschieben oder so. Habe ich nur mal gemacht. Ein Kompliment.
Dann muss einfach noch ein bisschen mehr Impact, einfach noch mehr schieben, mehr.
Ja.
Mehr muss sich mehr in die Wanne setzen, so in das Bett von diesem Irrsinn, so. Hasch. Sowas.
Ja, ich sag das mal meinen Fingern.
Na, die sind ja schon ganz gut, finde ich.
Aber das ist, wenn ich langsam anfange, dann geht es.
Ja, you should.
Das war ja irrsinnig. Das war wirklich sehr zufällig so. Ja, völlig wurscht, das ist ja wohl egal. Es war ja wirklich eine, das hätte ich fast gesagt, das hätte ich mir nicht zugetraut, das hätte ich fast überhaupt nicht zugetraut. Mit welcher Entschlossenheit du da das war ja zufällig, ich bin vorbeigegangen. Das war ja ungeheuer. Das war ja wirklich so.
Zivilcourage nennt sich das.
Ja, genau so. Das war ja also wirklich toll.
Du hast gedacht, sowas hätte ich nicht.
Das haben ganz wenige Menschen überhaupt nicht so. Ja? Das heißt, die Leute eigentlich sowieso legendäre Nein, das war wirklich so. Also ihr schwebt und Mut auf dem Tisch auf jeden Fall. Auf den Knie falle ich nicht.
Das muss ja nicht sein, aber ich finde es nett, wenn du da was.
Nein,
also, der Zufall wollte, dass du Zeuge die
ja,
gegeben hast.
also ganz klar, also die Entschlossenheit hat immer gesagt, ja,
and I remember that we had made up some improvised thing. The basic tune. I mean, the basic thing was improvised, and I got the idea, or the rest. I mean, all the band got the idea. Maybe we should sing on it. So I went to Falkrumner's big notebook of.
Let's go to 1973.
Yeah.
You came out with an album, Amon Düül 2, Carnival in Babylon.
Yeah.
Maybe you can show it to our friends for a minute. The outside, it's not the double.
At the time it was released, it was a folding cover. Yeah, this is strange animal called the toucan-meal. Toucan-meal. No, it's a camel. It's a camel I photographed. I did when we were on tour. Often in the hotel, all the members of the group were sleeping. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and went out with my camera and going around, taking a sidewalk and taking some pictures. And I saw nearby of the hotel there was a little circus, and there I saw this animal coming with his head out of a tent. You know, it's a big tent, and this animal, it was a llama.
Like a camel.
Yeah, like a camel. And I photographed that animal, and later combined it with the head of a bird. Of a bird.
Parakeet.
Yeah, it's a toucan pfefferfresser called. It's a
pepper eater.
Yeah, pepper eater. It's a South American bird with a very beautiful image. His head and his, you know. Yeah.
And is that a door on the front there, or what is that?
Yeah, it's a door. It's a door. This animal is always carrying a door with him. You know, a door you don't know where this door is going. Maybe it's a door of perception or so on.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah.
Let's have a look at the back side of the album.
The back side of the album.
Can you show it maybe?
Lyric part, and then it became the song called Hawk-Nosed Harlequin.
What is the meaning of Hawk-Nosed Harlequin?
It's a nice picture, I mean, for me. I don't even...
It's like a clown, really? It's
like, sure, but...
you can, for instance.
You can talk about, wie heißt der vom Bergerac da?
Der französische Schauspieler. Likewise of wisdom. What does it look like? Right.